Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Can I Get a Testimony? Today I'm here with a special guest, my brother from another mother. His name's Isaac Myers. Welcome, Isaac.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
Excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah.
I know you have a great testimony, so I'm really excited to hear what you got to say. So Isaac, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you grow up and what did it look like?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not from Michigan. That's for sure. Definitely not from Michigan. I was born and raised in Arizona, a place called Mesa, Arizona. It's like 30 minutes from Phoenix. That's the big Arizona place. But so I'm from Mesa, Arizona. My mom and dad were pastors, so I'm a pastor's kid. That was a pretty yeah. I'm like such a stereotype. Like just I'm also like I'm number 3 of 4 kids.
Oh wow.
So I'm like middle child too, classic middle child and stuff. And so I was a big like attention seeker and all that stuff in Sunday school, big troublemaker and all that fun. Yeah.
I would never guess. A troublemaker.
Yeah, you know, some of it I really tried to calm it down when I moved to Michigan. I moved to Michigan for the worship school that we did, and I tried to tone it down in the classroom settings, and I just
you didn't.
I didn't. I couldn't.
I don't think you did.
I couldn't.
Nope.
I couldn't at all. It's something about the classroom environment I just don't like.
Let's just put it this way, though. You made it extremely interesting and fun.
Yeah, everybody.
And I appreciated that because sometimes there was some real dull moments. Or some real we need some excitement.
Yeah, exactly. We needed some fun every once in a while between all the hermeneutics and the and the fun. But I'm from Arizona. My mom and dad loved the Lord. My dad was a worship pastor, actually, at our little Nazarene church. And they weren't super. I feel like Nazarene, at least more then, was considered more of a very like conservative, like hyper like conservative. Like there's a like a stereotype nickname that Nazarenes would be called. If you're being too Nazarene, you'd be like a Nancy Nazarene or something like that, which is just a very proper person.
Okay.
Which that's a big insult.
Hopefully there's no Nazarenes out there.
I know.
You guys, please don't, no hate mail.
I'm sorry.
It's all said with love.
Yeah, I know, yeah. No, I'm sure it's great. I don't know anything about. It was fine. I still met the Lord, loved the Lord, but my mom and dad were very charismatic in their beliefs and stuff. They prayed in the Spirit, which isn't something super crazy practiced in that particular denomination. Okay. So there would be moments where my dad he'd be leading worship, and then he'd like kind of like hide his mouth and his face a little bit, and we'd like start praying in the Spirit or something like that, just like in between worship, which was always fun. Yeah, and he's big into dancing, so he would like be dancing and stuff on stage and doing all that fun stuff that's like really normal, I feel like, in our environment right now, in our church environment, and just like church, big church in general. I feel like I see people hopping around on stage all the time. But that was my dad, that was my mom. That's kind of where I came from. A little bit. Yeah, kind of fun.
You had older siblings and one younger, is that what it is?
Yes, yeah. Okay. I have two older siblings, a brother and a sister, and then a little brother. And we're all 5 years apart.
Each person.
Each,
wow.
Yeah. My mom and dad waited until we were in kindergarten. Like each of us were to have another kid.
Interesting.
Just kind of whatever. It's kind of smart, maybe. I don't know.
Sometimes you can't plan. But
because there's just no planning. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question I have is what was your experience coming to the Lord? Did you have any specific experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple, which is kind of funny. Like, I feel like people that I talk to who are like believers now, who maybe grew up in church, there's like two camps, and you have the people who had a definitive moment and stuff where they like, it was a summer camp and I met the Lord at, you know what I mean, like a youth camp or whatever, and then there's like, well, I kind of knew the Lord when I was a kid and accepted Jesus into my heart and did all that, got baptized, and then kind of fell away.
That's my story.
Yeah, it's more mine as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of where I more land. I had accepted Jesus into my heart and really always felt, I had always felt really, really like drawn to the Lord. I really did believe like that Jesus was there, a big part of my testimony personally, and just like throughout my testimony has always been prayer, like the power of prayer. And like when I was a little kid, I would have like these terrible nightmares, just like awful little nightmares. And I'd get like terrified. I was terrified to go to bed. And I remember my mom teaching me how to pray and stuff. Really? And I prayed like for good dreams. And that was like, but when I started praying when I was a little kid, the dreams, like the nightmares stopped, which was really cool. So I had that kind of like foundationally of like, if anything, Jesus hears me, and is around and stuff. But like, it wasn't until I was 17 that Jesus kind of stopped being like genie in the bottle, like, you know, blessing my meals and healing my tummy aches kind of thing. Like Jesus became a person when I was like 17. I think I went through a breakup, a really difficult breakup, which is just like, that's what constitutes a crisis for a 17-year-old is like a come to Jesus moment is just a breakup. I was so heartbroken, and I was like, she was gonna be my wife, like I was gonna start a family with her, and I was so miserable.
I've had those moments.
Yeah. Breakups suck. They're hard. They're really
terrible.
Hard. They're always just absolutely the worst.
I've had my fair share.
Really?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. They're just historically awful. But me and this girl, we broke up. We were like sinning left and right, and just weren't like following the Lord at all. But I was leading worship at this little church that my dad, we ended up moving when I was 15. Sorry, this might be all over the place.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
We ended up moving when I was 15 from Mesa to a little town in Arizona called Kingman, which is the pit stop to Las Vegas. It's the worst place on earth. It's not bad.
Stop. You mean like on your way?
Yeah, it's like it's on Route 66, and it's super. It's just a little town. It's actually like really sweet and surrounded by mountains. It is pretty. I just didn't like it. But like, so I'm like 15, like a year into living there, I like dropped out of high school. I threw a fit. It was around this time that my dad actually got really sick too. My dad, started having really bad like kidney liver issues and stuff, which you remember my dad being sick when I was in RSW. Yeah. My dad, he like stepped out. He went outside barefoot, basically. He went outside barefoot, and he was looking for our dog who had just run away, and he cut his toe. And my dad had neuropathy, so he couldn't feel anything. So it got infected, and the infection spread. And so they had to cut off the toe. Something happened with his diabetes, because he was a diabetic. And he he like couldn't feel that there was anything wrong with it, but I guess the infection spread to his kidneys, and they gave him medication for it. He was allergic, it made it worse, took his eyesight, and it was just like,
oh my gosh,
over the course of 6 years. But it started
just from a cut.
Exactly, just from walking outside, like being barefoot.
That's insane.
Yeah, so wear your shoes, I guess. Like
Yeah,
whenever you
wear
go
your
outside,
shoes, everybody.
wear your shoes. Clean your wounds. But yeah, no. So that was when I was 15. So all that kind of happened within the span of a couple months, and my dad accepted a position to go pastor a little church in Kingman, Arizona. So I was like leading for it because I had just learned guitar like that summer.
Okay.
And then I started dating a girl, and I was just like a 16-year-old punk kid, and we dated for like almost a year, and I started really feeling crappy about leading worship and like sinning.
Like a dual life.
Exactly.
Yep.
I just started feeling, and I like people would come up to me after leading worship or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're so anointed. Like that was so sweet. Like I felt the presence of God." And it was just like, "Oh man, like I didn't at all." Like I don't, like I breezed through the song so that I could get out of here and go, be an idiot. But
So it was like you were like not in relationship with Jesus.
Not
It
at all.
sounds like you were just kind of
yeah,
going with emotions and what you thought maybe that's what it should look like.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I was like a high school dropout, and I was struggling, just finding my place. And I figured like I would go down the same road that my dad went down, because I was already kind of doing the worship leader thing. So in my mind, in the corporate ladder that was in my mind, I would go probably work in church, and because that's kind of all I had to offer the world, which makes
It's not true.
but it made a lot of sense to me. So I'd shared it with my girlfriend at the time, and she was really just not a fan of that at all. And I just kind of decided that no, like I think I am probably gonna do something like this. Like I felt like a little sense of calling, I think. I'm gonna drink some water, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's been 4 days since I've had any water. But yeah, no, we broke up, and I there was a moment where I was walking alone in our church. We lived next to the church that my dad worked at. It was in a parsonage.
Okay.
So I had like keys to it, and I'd go there and I'd like play the instruments, and I'd do all that fun stuff like late at night. But I went there one night, and I just started walking around the pews, because there were still pews in that church. It was a small church. And I started like talking out loud to God, as if he was in the room. And the more I talked, the more I started like getting louder. And the more I started like yelling, and I realized I actually was like an angry little kid. And I just had a lot to say, and I went home that night and I slept like a baby. Like I felt so good.
You just like let it all out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like it's all out on the table.
Exactly. Like I just told God how wronged I've been my entire 17 years of life and whatever, and was angsty, but I felt so good. I went back the next night and I did the same thing. And then I went back the next night and I did that for like every day for 2 years. And it like got to the point where I'd be with my friends and I would be actually more excited to go home and go back to the church to go talk to the Lord, to go have my time with the Lord. And it was really
cool.
It was really like out of the place of prayer that I rediscovered like Jesus, like relationship. He became like my friend. He was my friend. He is my friend. But
Not
yeah.
past tense.
Yeah, no.
Currently still is.
Exactly. But yeah, that's really how I kind of got restarted with Jesus, was out of that, just that place. I think I was like a really lonely kid. I was a middle kid. I was a middle child, so I was always like, fighting for attention of some sort. And so to be be in a place where I actually had I had God's attention, and the fact that it was God, like it was Jesus, it's the guy, like it just did something. And it's like one of those are like some of the best memories that I think I have like in my life, are just walking around talking to Jesus and being honest about my day. And I'd like curse and I'd be terrible, and felt like he didn't really mind.
That's the good thing about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Mind.
Yeah, no.
And he even like wants to be a part of that.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like, I mean, it's not weird, I guess.
No, yeah. I mean,
in a good way.
Yeah.
Because we have all these emotions, we have emotions that like he wants to be a part of every single part of our lives. And I think people oftentimes don't understand that. Like they think like, oh, I have to look a certain way or be a certain way in order to be in the presence of the Lord. But actually he's like, nah, come as you are. Exactly. I want to be in every single part of your life, even if you're angry, even if you're sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you just sinned 5 seconds ago. Like,
yeah, exactly.
People think, he doesn't want me to be a part of him.
No.
You know, but it's the opposite. It's like, actually, I want to be so that I can help you take care of the sin and like show you what's going on and start directing you in the right way.
Yeah.
That's what that relationship looks like, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's like human nature it's obvious human nature, like it's biblical. The fig leaves, it's your first reaction. You always want to hide and like conceal yourself when you feel like the Lord kind of caught you, or like that the Lord confronts that sin and you're face to face like with your own brokenness. You instantly hide and stuff, but God already knows. Like he saw it, he sees it anyway and stuff. Like that was I remember thinking that to myself. It was like, man, you already know this stuff anyway. Like you already know like how I'm feeling. Might as well just say it out loud.
Might as well. Get it out there. It's really us admitting it to ourselves more than it is admitting it to God. It's like sometimes we don't even know we're in a bad way, and we're like just going along, and all of a sudden we're like taking inventory of what we've been up to, and we're like, oh dang. Yeah. And it's kind of like, when you're addicted to something or whatever, and then you're finally able to say, I'm addicted to this. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, there's like freedom in that. Yeah. To be able to speak it out. So it's like we first tell ourselves and God at the same time, I guess. Yeah. But then being able to lay it down is the next step, I think. Yeah. Being true to who you are and what you're doing. Yeah. And then also being true to the Lord at the same time. Exactly. Yeah. That's like, I mean, that's how you know you need good news, is if you really are, if you really see and understand the bad news. Like if you really see your brokenness, confront your brokenness and all that stuff, like that's why Jesus wore it. And like there's something about like the cross. Like I always had a very strange kind of relationship with the cross, and like I didn't quite understand it. Like it was very much like a mystery to me, like the importance of it, the significance of it, and stuff, of that moment and why it had to be that. And I mean, until the Lord kind of put me in a position where it was like, oh, like I'm actually like really terrible. Like I'm actually not I'm not as great as I thought I was. Like I really do like need him. Like I really do need a savior and stuff. And there's something about that. Like, and even like when you see
just how bruised you are and stuff. You can read about the cross and the stripes and all that stuff. And like see some of your story too and your sin, because it is your sin that he wore. You know what I mean?
It actually makes me think of this song that you wrote. Isaac wrote a song.
If I actually didn't write that one.
You didn't?
The one that I sang.
You did not write 39 Stripes?
I didn't write 39 Stripes.
Who wrote 39 Stripes?
Caleb Culver and Devin Strasser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Caleb and Devin.
You have sang it many times.
Devin wrote Rings in My
like
Ears.
It, as a matter of fact. It's one of my favorites.
I love that song so much. Yeah. It's so good. But it is
I thought for sure you were one that had put something. It's okay. But like,
no, I wrote on that project, on the All Eyes on Jesus project. I wrote "Beauty of the Cross." Okay. That's the song I wrote.
That's right.
About it. Yeah,
it's a good one too.
Yeah.
Well, they're all good.
No, it's good. All right, it's.
I don't know, just with like Easter around the corner and just the 39 Stripes. I've listened to it a few times.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was wanting to ask, so you went through the church stuff when you lived in this, that was like a small town, right?
Yeah, very small.
Very small.
Yeah.
And then how did you get from there to like making the decision to come to, or to try out for radio school worship?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Oh man. So, so I'm 17 when I got saved. I'm hanging out with Jesus for a couple years in Kingman. 2019, my dad got really sick. Like really, it just took a turn for the worst, even more. And he was like full-time wheelchair and just he couldn't pastor a church. So I think they had kind of asked him to step down. So we had to move. We moved to this place in Arizona on the other side of Arizona, and it's a border town that borders with Mexico, and it's called Naco, Arizona. Okay. It's close to like Bisbee, Sierra Vista, and it's an insanely small town. It's like there's like 30 people that live in Naco. It's crazy. And then you have
it's very tiny.
I lived like, if I was like, our house, we lived here, the border is right here. We lived right next door to the border to Mexico, and we'd go over to Mexico. So we moved in with my mom's dad, my grandfather. And he had a little church in Mexico that he would go to every Sunday. He'd cross the border, go to, and he'd preach there. My mom is Mexican, and my dad is insanely bilingual. My dad actually received the gift of like Spanish from the Holy Spirit. He received he received that like supernaturally. Wow. And if you ask all of his sisters and all that stuff, they're like, yeah, one day Rob just started speaking Spanish. Like he just started like, which is really funny, just because my dad he's a bald white guy.
Can I know.
I know. It's like, so it's just so efficient. It was so nice.
Like, please.
But my mom and dad, like, how they started ministry together in their early 20s, was a lot of it was like bilingual ministries, and it was all bilingual kind of stuff. But yeah, so they just decided to help my grandfather with his church kind of in Naco, Mexico. And so I lived there for a year and had no idea why I was moving. I just wanted to move basically to help with my dad and stuff. Because I was 19 at that point. I could have moved out and kind of did my own thing.
Yeah.
But I decided to stay, help with my dad, and help with my little brother, who was just starting his freshman year of high school at that point. And and so I was just there, and instead of going to the church every night, I started going on drives every night with the Lord, and I'd talk as if the Lord was in the car with me, and that was like my routine. That kind of became my routine. And one night, again, I was yelling and getting all mad and stuff at God, and he was it's so weird talking about it now because it's like
you got mad at God a lot.
I just talked. He just was like a punching bag. Yeah.
Angst.
Yeah. There was there was so much angst, so angry. But I was doing the whole why God, why, like who am I, why am I, what am I doing on this earth? And
I still do that.
Yeah, I know.
From time to time.
Honestly, me too. I'm still very confused. No. But like, I was driving around one night and I was like, hey, all right, what are we doing here? Like, what are we, like, what's the next kind of move? What are we supposed to be? What do you want me to do? Like, with my life. And the Lord started talking to me, and it was funny. It was like one of the first times I heard him, like
audibly?
Not like out loud from like Mufasa. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. No, it was, I very much, it was funny. Oh my God. And I just
heard him once audibly.
If that's terrifying. How did you hear him audibly?
It was literally in my left ear. Not in my right, just in my left, and he told me something.
Wow.
He actually this is when I gave my car away to somebody. And he said, give your car to this person. And it was like, it was just audible as if you and I are talking right now, and he was speaking it to me. But it wasn't like, fire and brimstone, like, anything
quiet.
Like that.
Yeah.
Huge from the cloud or anything. No, it was just like in my ear. And I was like, did I really hear that?
Oh, wow.
It was interesting.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I did hear that.
I believe it.
I did hear it.
I genuinely believe it. Yeah. It'd be funny if it was just a guy.
Like, I was in my car by myself.
Give your car away. Oh, no.
It wouldn't be just a guy.
I know.
That would be creepy. I don't know where that would come from.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, I haven't heard it audibly yet, but I heard it really, really clearly in my spirit. And the Lord, I asked him, what do you want me to do? And he just asked, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. And that was like a big, like, mind-blowing thing for me to hear. Because I think I maybe had gotten into this, like, God, what's my calling? What's my forever purpose? And a lot of times, especially, like, since then, I've talked to people who maybe have, like, discipled or helped out. Like, God will ask back, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? Which is really funny. Like, and it's also so like him. Like, if you read the Gospels, Jesus is always answering questions with questions, and like,
this is true.
Yeah, like he's always. It's awesome. It's just kind of. It's just how he like reads you,
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like, I really like songwriting. And I felt like something like, I'd never said that out loud.
It was just something like a private thing.
Yeah. It was very much like a just for me thing. I had written a couple terrible, like crappy little songs and stuff that I showed to my mom and dad and they loved. And
I'm sure they weren't terrible.
No, they were pretty bad. I'll have to show you sometime. They're truly terrible. Okay. But like, I was like,
I'm here for it.
I was just so like excited about, like that the Lord would like hear that and get that out of me, because it felt like something he like drew out, and he was like, okay, then we can do that, like let's do that. And
that's cool.
And I was like, all right, well, if you want to do that, like I don't really know what to do. And sure enough, like a week later, my mom woke me up. So this is kind of like a funny little thing, but like in where I was living at in Naco, there was only like 2 rooms, and there was a room for my mom and dad and a room for my brother, he was a teenager. I didn't really want to, he smelled a lot, and like I didn't really want to be around him. And so I slept in my parents' like walk-in closet and stuff. And it's like super private in there, but I just like had a little bed, and it was also like my mom's like prayer closet. So in the mornings my mom would like kick me out like onto the couch, and then she'd use the closet to pray in and like my mom was a prayer closet mom. She's like a big intercession.
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
She had her sticky notes up up in the prayer closet.
The biggest sticky nose, Isaac.
Yeah, it's like Isaac. That Isaac finds a bed, uses the bed in the other room eventually. God.
I love it.
But like she comes into the closet one day and she wakes me up and she's talking to me about how she found like a random advertisement on Facebook for a worship internship in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's do it. Like, I'll sign up. And so I just like signed up and started. It felt like just instant peace about it. It felt like the Lord had kind of been getting me ready to leave and do something on my own. And it gets to like the point where like a week before we have to leave, the Lord just provided everything that I needed.
It's always the 11th hour.
Yeah.
I tell people this all the time. Don't worry about anything
providing
exactly. Wise. It's always in the 11th hour.
Exactly.
Right before you leave.
Exactly. And it was extra special that he like did that because a couple months before I had to move, I felt like I was like, all right, like it's time to get a job. I should save up and stuff. And I felt like the Lord actually asked me to not like get a job.
Just kind of trust me situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my mom hated that. And I got like scolded like I was a 7-year-old and like, you know, and she was like, you're like being dumb, dude. Like, don't do this. And, I was like, look, and I said it so seriously. I was like, Mom, I really feel like the Lord wants me to not get a job, which are the words, those words are so terrible when you have to say them out loud, which you don't have to say them out loud all the time. But in this case I did, and something about maybe how I said it, but she heard it and she was like, okay, like fine, all right. Yeah. And she kind of like paused and then sure enough, like when that check came in and stuff, it was like, I got it all literally in like an envelope.
Wow.
Like it's a whole other like crazy provision thing, but like I got it all in an envelope and I like counted it with my mom and she was like, oh my God, you have everything you need to go. Like you're ready. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
God just shows up, man.
Yeah. And then we packed up and drove to Michigan, which was a very long drive.
It is a very long drive.
Yeah, it was stupid.
For sure. From Arizona.
Yeah.
It's a long drive.
Yeah.
A couple days. Well, and then you got to meet me because I was here.
I did.
And I gained a brother.
Yes.
A younger brother. Did you know I've always wanted a sibling, like a younger sibling? I asked my mom for over a year for a brother. I swear it was like that long. And she's like kept saying, "We can't. We've taken care of that. We can't have any more kids."
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, but I want a baby brother. And it was interesting because we got an RSW and I felt like I gained.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a bunch of...
I got a bunch of brothers.
Yeah.
And I felt like you and I kind of connected in a way where I really do seriously feel like you're my younger brother, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's pretty special to me because I've wanted one my whole life. So it was really cool.
Yeah.